Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Matt, and this is part 5 of the basement brewery build. So this episode, the plan is to install a fermentation chamber in my closet, right behind me. I like to put it right there. It's going to be kind of ugly, so I kind of wanted to tuck it away in the closet, and it's just going to be some insulation from Home Depot, some board insulation. And I also picked up from Amazon a few other things to build the fermentation chamber. Got an Inkbird. It's not a Wi-Fi one, it's just the basic one. And then I got a heat mat for seedlings. And it's 20 by 20. And I went on Reddit and I was talking to other homebrewers about what they use for the sorry, it's my cat. About what they use for the fermentation chambers. And most people said the seed mats were the best way to increase the temperature. There's lots of ways that you can increase temperature around your fermenters. I just use plastic fermenters. I don't have any stainless steel. So we're just going to use the seed mat. The nice thing about the seed mat too is that it's waterproof. So if there's any spillage in there, then it's totally safe to get wet. So I figure it's probably the safest option for me. Hopefully it can get up to 60 and 70 degrees that I need for ale fermentations. So yeah, so that's the plan. We're gonna get going with planning and we'll see what we come up with. All right, so for the fermentation chamber, I was thinking about it. I was thinking about building a wooden frame around the styrofoam, but I'm using 2-inch styrofoam. And I think with the walls, the side wall and the back wall, I think that might be enough support for the fermentation chamber. We'll see once we build it. We might have to add framing later, but the plan is to just put a piece of styrofoam on the bottom and then box it in, glue a piece on the top. And then the door will be plywood, really thin piece of plywood with the hole for the door cut through styrofoam, so it's kind of a snug fit. You can push it on there, and I might add some like cheap little handles or something just to pull it on and off. But that's the plan, and we're gonna get measuring and cutting. Okay, so here's an update. We started kind of dry fitting everything together. I think I made the fermentation chamber too big because I ran out of board. I have enough for the top. This is the top here. But the door, I do not have any foam for the door now. I have like some scraps, but not really enough to make a difference. And these sheets kind of cost, I think they're like $38 a sheet. So I'd hate to buy like a $38 sheet for a tiny little cut like this. Okay, so it's all glued together. I wanted to just use up the container of glue, so I found some pockets of air and I just pushed a bunch of glue in those pockets. And I just have it weighted down with some diapers to help the glue, help the joint seal properly. So the directions on the bottle said 7 days to cure, which is quite a bit of time. What I might do is I might just wait like 1 day, and I think it will be dry enough to start taping it up. But we'll see. I still have to figure out this door situation. I might run to Home Depot and see if they sell little tiny sheets, because I would like to just have a sheet that goes right over it. That was the original plan. But if I have to buy a full sheet, I don't think I'm going to be interested in that. So we'll have to figure out another solution. So it's been about 2 days since I glued the fermentation chamber up. And I'm starting to now tape. Taping is taking quite a bit of time. This is really sticky tape to work with, especially with the foam. It just really adheres to it. So I'm kind of using a credit card to kind of get it a tight seam in there. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to look pretty. It just needs to insulate. So I'm going to keep working on this and we'll show you in a little bit what it's going to look like. All right, so we finished up the tape in the fermenter. There it is. Wasn't too bad. Once I get the hang of it, using the credit card, it goes pretty quick. So I think I got it all pretty much sealed up. I'm trying to think if I should seal the outside of it or not. What I'll probably do is I'll probably seal these edges around the door. And then I'm gonna seal the actual door that's gonna fit on top of this as well. Probably seal there too. But yeah, it's looking really, really good. I went to Home Depot and I picked up some insulation. There's this handy pack insulation that's pretty thin. It's only about 1 inch thick. and it's kind of cheaper styrofoam, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to double up on it to make it 2 inches thick, or it'll actually be just under 2 inches. And that will be the insulation for the door. And then here I found some really thin plywood, and these sheets I couldn't get thick enough, so what I'm kind of doing is I'm just doing construction adhesive and gluing those together as one sheet. So I have construction adhesive here, I'm gonna have styrofoam glue here. I'm gonna have both of these sit probably for a full day, and then I'm gonna glue them together, let that sit for probably another day, and then we'll be back to see how the door fits. All right, so we just finished up the fermentation chamber. The Inkbird is all set up. It's holding 70 degrees, and the probe and the heat mat is running through the top there. This is the door I ended up making. Again, the idea was to not make this pretty, just make it practical. So I just had some thin plywood like I showed in the previous clips, and I just glued 2 pieces of the cheaper styrofoam together. So that's glued onto the sheet here. Then I just taped up the seams. In the fermentation chamber, I have the seedling mat taped to the floor so it doesn't move. And then I have the probe hanging from the ceiling there. Everything is taped up, so there shouldn't be any, well, it's probably not perfect, but really shouldn't have too many leaks here. So it should be pretty well insulated between this and the door. But yeah, that's about it. The only thing I want to do is I want to probably grab some Velcro, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to Velcro the sides of the sides here of the fermentation chamber, and I'm going to put some Velcro on the sides of the actual door. And then I figure the Velcro would be probably a good enough seal to hold it on. Doesn't need to be like airtight, but the tighter it could be, the less the heat mat needs to kick on. So I had the door open, so the temperature dropped a little bit, so it's gonna have to kick back on here. But yeah, really excited. What I'm gonna be doing here is I got a thermo well for the fermenter. It's just not in the mail yet, so you'll probably see that on future brew days. The fermenter the thermo well runs about 15 inches from the top of the fermenter I have, which is just a big mouth bubbler from Northern Brewer. And yeah, that should hold fermentation temps pretty well. I know the seed mat can raise temperatures. I think that said 10 to 20 degrees. Yeah, I think it's 10 to 20 degrees. So in between, and for the basement temp, I think that will be just fine to hit 70. It doesn't need to be exactly 70, 65 would probably be fine, but we'll see when we get the thermo well. But yeah, that's gonna be about it for the video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something. If you have any questions or comments about the build, let me know. And I'll put all the parts that I use in the description down below as well. But yeah, I appreciate you guys watching. This was a pretty fun build, and I'm happy I finally got around to doing this after around 8 years of brewing. So we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.